Welcome, beloved. Good day to you. This is the Remnant Seed Bible Study channel, and this is the second part of the greatest actor of all times, and that is Satan. And make no mistake about it, he's got the Academy Award of awards. And let's go to the second part of this, and this will focus on some of what the false teachers of this rapture doctrine are doing. And let's get right into this. Now, most of the modern church is teaching that you will be gone in rapture before this Antichrist has been cast down to the earth. They believe that you're going to be gone. And the modern day false teachers are actually teaching you to worship this false Messiah. His main promise to the false church will be, I've come to save you and fly you away, and then after I fix everything on the earth, you're going to fly away in a rapture. But it's never going to happen, beloved. The great falling away that Paul is referring to is speaking about the multitude that will fall away from Jesus Christ and worship this false Christ. And in essence, they're taking his mark in their head and their hand by giving their allegiance to Satan and working for him to promote this so great a lie called the rapture doctrine. Make no mistake, this false doctrine is started by Satan himself in the early 1800s, just in time for the end times. Almost all of the modern church is giving suck or nursing along this false doctrine, and they've already taken the mark of the beast by doing so, knowingly or unknowingly. If you're looking for an imminent return of Christ before this all happens, you will be utterly deceived, beloved. And this is what the whole point of Paul is writing the second letter to the Thessalonians is to clear up the chronology of the second coming of Christ. There's absolutely no difference between a coming and appearing, and there will be only one second coming of Christ at the seventh trump. Just try and find the words third coming or a rapture in the manuscripts, and you will be completely unsuccessful. Now, beloved, I've compiled a list of 33 names here, and I'll let you can read this. I think I'm going to post this whole lecture up in the notes below this video, so that you can copy and paste any of this, beloved, and use it at your will. And these are all the same entity and the roles that he plays. And you must not confuse a role and the entity itself. Now, a perfect description of this entity is found in Ezekiel chapter 28. In his role as Antichrist, Satan will play his final role in his de facto appearance as the false Messiah, and that's why he's called the Antichrist. This is the second role. This is actually the third role of this age that it will play from earth in a personal appearance to all of mankind. All of his other roles and titles, with the exception of the serpent and the time that he appeared to Christ in the wilderness, have been done from his spirit in his secondary role as a prince in the power of the air, which means he has control of the air in this heaven age. And the beast is the Antichrist, and these below are one and the same. There's no reference to the beasts being a man anywhere in the Word of God. And these all refer to this beast. And I'm not going to go over these for the sake of time, beloved. I'll let you read these for yourself, but I'm just going to tell you that this word beast is used to describe this system and also this entity, the Antichrist or Satan or whatever you want to call him, or his system, the beast system. They're all called the same thing, just as we, in colloquial terms, would call our car a beast if it breaks down on you. I mean, you go around kicking the tires and you're like, you know what? Why'd you break down on me, you beast? And you got to get past the fact that it's not some ugly-looking beast. This is the beast of a beast system, and the beast gives his power to the beast, which is Satan giving control to this image of this man who is not a man, but he is the spurious Messiah, and that's where he gets his power from, beloved. Now here's this word, this little preposition anti in the Greek. And here it is, beloved, number 473 in the Strong's Concordance. And as you can see this is a substitution. This is an actor. This guy is an imposter, an actor, and somebody impersonating Jesus Christ. Now, I'm going to give you two examples of angels, and they're both ways. The Antichrist is actually the angel, the entity, the anointed cherub, and he's called a man too, just like Gabriel is. And so let's go to Revelation 13:18. Now here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now you can see here, his number is even the number of a man. And you got to put this together, beloved. Gabriel's called a man, but you know he's not a man. He's an angel. So this is just one of the names, roles of this entity, and his number is 666. This is 666, and the same word count, okay, and I want to break this down for you, is used in Revelation 2:17 when you count the number of his name. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and I will give him a stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it. Now the words count and stone have the same meaning in the Greek tongue, and these words are only used 3 times in the entire Bible. We are instructed as Christians in the above verses to count the stones, or count the number of his name, worn smooth over a long period of time in the number of Satan's name. And if you know this is the wisdom that's being spoken of to figure out what we're supposed to do in these end times. If we don't have a battle plan to counter Satan, we'll be easy prey. And in order to figure this out, we have to go back to the Greek language to determine what this word count means. When it says, here is wisdom, count the number of his name, you got to figure this out, what this is talking about. And this is dedicated to help you to understand this. And let's go to the Greek number 5516, which explains this numerical name of Satan. And it's chxs, stigma. And the abbreviation, it's 666, okay? And this is the Greek cipher. It's chxs stigma, and that's 666. And it's the 22nd, the 14th, and the obsolete letter stigma as a cross. And then, in other words, this implies deception, beloved, of the Greek alphabet, intermediate between the 5th and 6th, used as numbers denoting respectively 660 and 6, and 666 as a numerical 666. And see the Greek stigma. Now below are the Greek words for count and stone, and they are the same word. And it's found the Greek number 5585, 5586. It's safe so, to count, to calculate, to safe zeo. And the short definition, I reckon, I compute. Definition, I compute or I count, calculate. And to use as pebbles in enumeration, a small smooth stone, as in counting the small smooth stones over a long period of time. And this means that you have counted these stones since they can be traced all the way back to the Garden of Eden. And this means that you are able to see this footprint of these evil ones all the way back to the Garden of Eden as the sons of Cain, the sons of the devil, and what they've done on the earth. And you're able to count them. You're able to calculate who they are. You're able to figure this out by counting the number of the name of the Antichrist, which is the father of lies. He is the father of all these lies. And so if you have the key of David, you're able to calculate the methodology of these small, smooth stones worn smooth over a long period of time. Now let's go to Greek 5584. This is selapheo, to feel or grope. These smooth stones. You know by touching them, by feeling them, who they are. I grope, for grope around, handle, touch, the base of, salo, compare, safsos, to manipulate, to verify or contract. Figuratively, excuse me, beloved. Feel after, handle, touch. This simply means that you're able to recognize these smooth stones that have been worn smooth over a long period of time. You're able to figure out the number of his name and his method of operation by counting the number of his name. And that's the etymology of understanding of what here is wisdom means. Count the number of his name. This is all speaking towards that, beloved. And when you can count the number of his name, you have wisdom in order to see the method of operation of this joker. And he Revelation 13:13, and he does these great wonders in the sight of men. And he's doing all these miracles. And this is his method of operation, beloved, as an impersonator. And I won't go over these verses because we've already covered them in the first part of this lecture. Beloved, my voice is starting to give out here. Now, to receive this mark on your forehead is to receive it into your brain. And the analogy that's given here is that you've basically given your allegiance to Satan because you're not able to count these smooth stones. You don't have the wisdom to count the number of his name. And this will cause you to be utterly deceived. You believe Satan is God and you actually worship him as God. And you'll not be able to buy or sell unless you worship Satan as God. But God will take care of you during this time, beloved. And he will make sure that you will be able to give your testimony when you're delivered up, as Mark 13 it tells you. God will take care of us. It will seem like we're out in the wilderness, and it may be rather hard at this time, but God will take care of you. Now I want to go over this hour of temptation, and this is speaking about this same time that Antichrist is going to be here on earth. And let's go to Revelation 3:10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, and you're able to understand all of this, beloved. I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth during this time of the appearance of the Antichrist. And you're not going to be tempted by this joker, beloved, because you have been able to count the number of his name, and you have the wisdom required to discern who this joker is. And let's go to Revelation 17:12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no power or kingdom as of yet, but they receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. In other words, this is the time when Antichrist is cast to the earth, and these kings could very well be these angels that are cast out with the Antichrist, beloved. And I keep my mind open on that, but I know that this is the hour of temptation. And this is the hour that Antichrist is cast to this earth and claims to be Jesus Christ. Now, 927 speaks of a time during the last week of 70 weeks of years, referred to by many scholars as the gap theory. And many agree that the 69th week began at the crucifixion of Christ. This so-called gap has lasted for 2,000 years, and we're still in the 69th week of this prophecy. The time of the great tribulation that Christ spoke of in Matthew 24 will begin the 70th week. And this is a time that's yet in our future. And Daniel 9:27 states that in the midst of the 70th week, the last week, the communion to him as the false Messiah, the Antichrist will stop the communion, the Holy Communion to Jesus Christ, and deceive much of the world into taking communion to him as the false Messiah. And this is how the daily oblation is stopped. And the term in the midst of the week simply means half of the last 7 years, which is 3.5 years. Satan, as the Antichrist, will confirm this covenant with his followers during this time by claiming he is the Messiah when he and his angels are cast out of heaven to the earth. Now, to understand the timing of this prophecy, you must understand Bible acrostics. When the number 7 is used in reference to a time period, in almost every case, the number 7 is not literally 7. 7 is the number of perfection or perfect timing that must be determined by rightly dividing the scriptures within the verse that you're speaking of and in the context. Now, Jesus Christ himself stated that if this last week were not shortened, that even the elect would be deceived by the abomination of the desolator, the Antichrist, or the false Messiah, as found in Mark 13:20. Now, the covenant mentioned in Daniel 9:25 has already been made with Satan by many people who today, as they have sold their souls to the devil. And many have a misconception about this covenant, beloved, but this is my interpretation of it. And they're actively preparing the way for the Antichrist to make his appearance by converting all world governments to a one world government or a confederacy. It's called the New World Order, and this has been promoted by the supporters of Satan who worship him. Many within the government of the USA and the world are actively promoting this New World Order by promoting the Marxist, Leninist, socialist agenda. Order out of chaos is their mantra, and if you look around the world today, this is exactly what you'll see. And when Satan makes his personal appearance on the earth, he will confirm this covenant with his followers. And most of these evil people sacrifice children to the devil, and they're also involved in abortion, pedophilia, homosexuality, and all this transgender nonsense, human trafficking, slavery, and every abomination known to man. They will stop at nothing to bring glory to their god, Satan. And all these verses here, which I've mentioned before, beloved, all refer to this time period called the 70th week, or the last week of years in this earth age. And this time period is called the hour of temptation, which is found in Revelation 3:10. That will come upon all the world, beloved. Not just some of them. Everybody on earth will be tempted by this joker. In Revelation 9:5 and 10, both refer to this time period being 5 months and not 7 years, or 7 years shortened to 3.5. I believe it's referring to this time period being 3.5 shortened to 5.5 months. And this is a perfect timing, and we have to keep our minds open on this, beloved. And this is referred to, basically, when this number 7 is referred to, you have to keep this open and keep it in context. In Revelation 8:1 speaks of Satan being absent from heaven for a half hour. And I believe this is in reference to Mark 13:10 and the time being shortened to 1/2 hour. And this means that the hour of temptation, 5 months, has been shortened to 1/2 hour, which is actually 2.5 months. And to further nail this timing down, as the last week of 7 years or 5 months has actually been shortened to 3.5 years or 2.5 months, as Mark 13:10 states. And just like the gap between the 69th and the 70th week of years was never actually 70 weeks of years, so is this last week of years not actually 7 years, but 5 months shortened to 2.5 months. And I know this can be pretty confusing, beloved. So that's why I say keep your mind open to this, and keep your eyes and ears just completely open, and be awake at this time. And this is going to be a time like no other time in the history of mankind. Mark 13:9 speaks of this hour of temptation when many of Christians will be delivered up to the magistrates of Satan to give a testimony for Jesus Christ before the entire world. And then Mark 13:11 makes a direct reference to this hour or period of time, the 2.5-month reign of the Antichrist while he is here on the earth. And Mark 13:14 gives us our marching orders to the elect who are delivered up to the magistrates of the Antichrist. And this tells them exactly what they must do during this hour of temptation. Now, below, Christ makes a direct reference to the false Messiah. And if you can still pinch yourself in the flesh, Jesus Christ has not yet appeared. And when the true Christ returns, all flesh will be transformed in the twinkling of an eye, and this earth age will end. And this is found in Corinthians 1 Corinthians 15:52, when we're all changed. And in Mark 13:6, and Jesus answering them began to say, "Take heed, lest any man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, and saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And when you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. And for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles, and these are the beginnings of sorrows. But take heed yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and in the synagogues you shall be beaten, and you shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them." And for the sake of time, I'm going to skip these verses, beloved, as my voice is giving out on me. And if you go to Revelation 2:10, "And fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. But be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." And this is a direct reference to this hour of temptation, beloved, and the devil in his role as the Antichrist, casting these people into prison who will not bow down to him, beloved, and they're going to be delivered up to the Antichrist, the false Messiah. And let's skip on, let's move on down here. I'm going to wrap this up, beloved, very quickly. And these are all references to this hour of temptation. And here's this hour, it's mentioned in the Greek. It's basically a specific period of time, which could be any time. It's basically just saying during this hour or this period of time. Now I want to go over this this bow that this false Messiah will be wearing and when he appears, and it's called in the Greek a toxon, a cheap fabric imitation. And this is another just part of the old acting uniform this Joker's going to be wearing when he appears. And this implies a deception, just as 2 Thessalonians. He's going to be wearing this fake cheap imitation around his head when he stands in the holy place and claims to be God, beloved. And this is a reference to it here. This implies deception. And when you look at this, This is where we get our word toxin from. This word bow in the Greek means toxin. Toxon. It's a cheap fabric imitation of the real rainbow. And this real rainbow that appears around the throne of God when he appears at the seventh trump cannot be imitated, but Satan will attempt to do it. And he's already using this sacred bow in defiance of God in this homosexual military movement. And their flag is an abomination to our Lord, beloved. And this is the same thing that Satan's going to be wearing around his head at his appearance. And this is an abomination to God. And here's the Greek meaning of this word crown. He's also going to be wearing this crown with this bow wrapped around it. And this guy is nothing but a joker, beloved, and an imposter. And everything he does is a lie, and he's tried to steal the throne away from God for millennia. And his role as the Antichrist will be a personal role and his last one of this earth age. Are you prepared to be delivered up to the magistrates of the Antichrist to give a testimony for the real Jesus Christ? And beloved, I would pose that question to you. Are you prepared for this? Do you have the wisdom? Hear his wisdom, count the number of his name. Are you able to count these smooth stones worn smooth over a long period of time? Do you have Satan's method of operation in your head? Are you going to worship him as if you were Christ? Will you take that mark in your head? Will you give your allegiance to him? And will you have this stamp on your hand? Will you give your hand to work for this false Messiah? And if you're deceived into believing that this false Messiah is the real Messiah, you will be utterly deceived, and you will take this mark, beloved. And I hope this helps you and prepares you to be prepared for this joker, because he is going to be good. He is the greatest actor of all times, beloved. And do not fall for him. Do not fall for this joker in his final role as the false, spurious Messiah. And much love from me to you, beloved. And I hope this lecture has helped you. And I love you so much. And we'll see you on the next one.